Welcome to Life After, a podcast for women to take you from feeling like you're just surviving to thriving, to creating a life you really love. Expect to discover tips and tricks to get there. Each episode will have actionable steps to empower you to make changes. I started this podcast because I've been through it all, from getting out of a marriage with a narcissist to completely rebuilding my life. And now I'm on a mission to help you too. You can change your life. It's absolutely possible. She reads books as one would breathe air, to fill up and live. Annie Dillard. Think before you speak. Read before you think. Fran Lebowitz. If a book is well written, I always find it too short. Jane Austen. Great books help you understand, and they help you feel understood. John Green. What a blessing it is to love books. Elizabeth von Arnim. In this episode, we're going to talk about books. Books can change our lives, and I have a couple that I just can't wait to share with you. This is going to be a fun episode. You all know that I am a total book nerd. I've been this way my whole life. As a kid, we had a library just around the corner, and I was able to walk to it from a very young age. I found such refuge in the library. It was safe and quiet and warm. The librarians knew me well and treated me kindly and with respect. I learned that I could hide there, curl up, and get lost in another world. As I grew, I realized that books could teach me important things: how to change, how to grow, how to become that person I so wanted to be. One of the beautiful things about books is that you can digest them at your own pace, and you can take what works for you and leave the rest. I read a lot. And I can always tell how balanced my life feels based upon how much I'm reading that week. That said, I read every single day. I've always got a couple of books started, at least one fiction and one nonfiction. So I thought I'd share a couple of books that have been pretty influential to me recently. I may have already mentioned them in previous episodes, but probably did so pretty briefly. So I'm going to go into a little more depth today. Yay! The first book we're going to talk about is The 12-Week Year. Get more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. And it's by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington. This book is fantastic. I'm generally a pretty efficient and productive person. You guys already know that. Yet, I found their system to be incredibly helpful. I really try to follow it because when I first read this book, I had a project that I just had not been making any headway on. For months and months and months, every single day went by and I wasn't making any progress. And once I finished this book, I was able to complete that project in less than 12 weeks, as opposed to the prior 7 months when I'd made no progress at all. It felt like such an incredibly huge accomplishment. And once I saw how the 12-week year really worked, I have been hooked. One of the first things that they do is recommend you shift your mindset about what your time and productivity look like. And then they really encourage you to be accountable for both your long-term vision, whatever that looks like for the project or the goal or the dream you're trying to reach, but also for your daily and weekly actions, which are going to keep you focused on getting to that long-term vision. It's a great balance, and it really helps well, this is kind of duplicated. It really helps balance everything so that you're focusing short term, medium term, long term, and that you are taking the daily actions to reach that longer term vision or goal or dream. And then about half the book is about how to execute on this idea. And I just absolutely love a book that gives you the how of how to do a thing. Pardon me. It's so practical. It's a really quick read, and you are going to thank me for recommending it. Now, before we go on to the next book recommendation, I'm going to take a quick minute to tell you about a free gift I've got for you. Are you finding yourself struggling in a relationship and wondering if you're dealing with a narcissist, or certainly if it's toxic? You're not alone, and I've got a resource that can help you. Get my 5 questions to confirm you're not the problem. This helps you identify the emotions associated with being in a controlling relationship. You can just head over to locatecoaching.com/free gift and take that first step toward clarity and confidence in your relationships. Okay, back to the episode. Our next book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I resisted reading Atomic Habits for a long time because of its popularity. I generally don't like to read the the newest popular thing, and I generally don't subscribe to the hype when it's the must thing you have to do, must movie, must read. I'm that person that read every Harry Potter book all at once about 5 years after the last one came out. No more hype. And so I read them all. So I wasn't really sure about Atomic Habits. And if I haven't mentioned it already, it's by James Clear. And I felt pretty strong on habits already. That said, I got some really great ideas out of this book. And I think the thing that made it so powerful was that I read it right after I read the 12-week year. So reading them in conjunction with each other or back to back, I think in part was what really shifted things for me. Now, the fundamentals of this book are his 4 laws. In regards to habits. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And that these are the laws that you follow to make or change your habits. I like how he addresses the difference between positive compounding and negative compounding. So, he breaks it down in a chart and talks about how positive compounding looks like productivity compounds, knowledge compounds, and relationship compounds. And then he, on the flip side of the chart, talks about negative compounding, when stress compounds, negative thoughts compound, and outrage compounds. And I think I really love this because it works so closely with the work I do around mindset shifts and changing your life and all of the things that you can do. And this notion that what our mindset is, what we're focusing on, and that it compounds, that really resonated with me. He also talks about the importance of intrinsic motivation. And we're never going to make lasting change in our lives if we try to do it for someone else. Intrinsic motivation is about doing it for ourselves. That's how we make lasting change, through our habits or anything that we're doing. And he also talks about, he discusses a 4-step pattern. And those 4 steps are cue, craving, response, and reward. And so really briefly, the cue triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. The second step, the craving, is a motivational force. Third is the response, and it is the actual habit you perform. And finally, the reward, the end goal of every habit. Now, he talks about how these are a feedback loop, and without enough action or processing in any of the 4 categories, that habit won't continue. He really goes into much more detail about this, so I sincerely invite you to check it out in his book. One thing that Clear does is he gives lots of tips and tricks. And you know from listening to this episode, not just this episode rather, but this whole podcast, how much we love our tips and tricks. So it's a fantastic book for that reason as well. I have to say, I follow James Clear, and he has the best weekly newsletter than the others I receive. I highly recommend it, and the link to subscribe will be in the show notes. It's really brief, which is one thing I love, and it's, I'm just going to say, it's profound. Every single week, I look forward to getting it, and every single week, I get something out of it. So really, really, really invite you to go check out the link in the show notes. Now, I'm not sure if I've talked about this on the podcast before, but we're gonna switch it up a little bit. My favorite genre of books are action thriller and crime thriller. They kind of go hand in hand, of course. And my absolute go-to series are the Jack Reacher books by Lee Childs. I I love the Reacher character, and every time he gets a new book, I go out and buy it in hardcover. Absolutely love it. Um, or I'm thrilled that my mom buys it and then passes it down to me. That's even better when a book gets shared. As a side note, whether you've read them all or are just starting, the first book that Childs wrote, The Killing Floor, which is patterned off the most recent, the TV show, the Amazon show, the first season. I bought a newer published version. I didn't buy that book used when I read it originally many years ago. And there's a description about, before the book starts, like a foreword basically, about how Childs came to develop the character of Reacher. I found it absolutely fascinating and really appreciate him taking the time to explain it, the inner workings of how Reacher came to be. So if you're a book lover, if you're whether you've read the Reacher books or not, if you pick one up, I highly recommend. Also, The Killing Floor. Now, if you've watched the first season on Amazon, it won't be a surprise to you. But I found that book specifically had one of the biggest shocking moments in the first, it's in the first like 50 or 60 pages of almost any book I've ever read. Like, read it, went back, read it again. It was, when you have a moment like that in a book, it's just really memorable. So if you want to try it out, I would suggest starting. If you're interested in reading the Child's books, I would recommend starting with The Killing Floor. Okay. Sometimes I divert from my regular favorites and try something new. Both my sister and daughter are such great resources for books that I may not otherwise pick up on my own. And recently I've started the Throne of Glass series, recommended to me by my daughter. She just raved about that series, read them all really quickly. And I've just finished the first in the series, which is The Assassin's Blade. And they are by Sarah J. Maas, Maas. I'm intrigued. And while I always want a Hollywood ending, I always want my Hollywood ending. And who doesn't? We already have enough reality in our day-to-day life. It's too soon to see how this series is going to play out. More than anything, I'm so glad you listened to today's episode because please email me or message me. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Locate Coaching, and my email is in the show notes. What are your favorite books? I'm always looking for resources and recommendations from others on great books to read. And if you have any interest, I've thought about starting a book club, so let me know if that's of interest to you. Whatever you choose, I invite you to read more of anything. It will entertain you, broaden your horizons, and in really special circumstances, change your entire life. This podcast is a valuable resource for anyone seeking to make meaningful changes in their life. I'm here to support you on your unique journey, offering guidance and encouragement every step of the way. There will be new episodes on the second and fourth Wednesday every month. Please follow on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss any episodes. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's episodes on book reviews. Remember, read. Books can change your life, and the right book at the right time can be revolutionary. As we wrap up, here's the thing. I've made every mistake. I've literally been there and done that. It's one step at a time, and you'll get there. There's hope. You've got this. If you're struggling in a relationship and wondering if it might be controlling, you're not alone. Download my free PDF at locatecoaching.com/free gift to help you find clarity and confidence. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you soon.